My name is Gabriel Kudik, and this is my final project for the Flatiron Bootcamp. It is called blesstaurant. It allows you to search for vegan restaurants all over the world, and if you're logged in, to review them. Also, delete your own reviews. This is blesstaurant 1.0 post graduation. I definitely plan on adding more functionality and definitely more styling, but this is it at the moment. Quick explanation of how I created it. The backend is Ruby on Rails with a Postgres database. The management done by Active Records. The passwords are hashed and salted, encrypted in the backend using bcrypt. All the routes were written out. I didn't use resources. This way, there's no open routes if people are trying to be malicious and hack my backend. They're all tied up. No open routes. I did not use FastJSON API or Active Model Serializer. In Ruby on Rails, I created my own custom serializer. The front end is React. It uses Redux for global state management. All that's held in the Redux store, and I used multiple reducers and combined reducers. This way, the user state is different than the restaurant state, so all the data is managed and organized nicely. Func middleware is used for all the asynchronous fetches. React router is used for client-side routing. And I also use JWT or JSON Web Tokens for authentication. The HMAC 256-bit encryption. Their token is held in local storage, so if a user refreshes the page, takes it from local storage, when the component mounts, throws the token to the back end, sees whether it's a valid token. If it is, they stay logged in. If not, they are kicked out, or they're no longer logged in, but they can still navigate the page. I used two APIs with this. Yelp Fusion. I hit two endpoints. I used the Yelp Fusion Business Search and the Business Details. And I also used the Google Map Embed API. So let's take a little tour. Users don't have to log in or sign up to use the experience. Let's go to Search Anywhere. I don't know, Seattle, Washington. So we go to Seattle, Washington. This is the restaurant index page. All this. So when I hit submit, I sent whatever they entered in a get header to my backend. Once I got the header in my backend, I hit the Yelp business search. Business search returned an array of objects. That array of objects I sorted by distance, and then took all the information and rendered it to the page. We can go to any of these. Click on this. When this component mounted, it did a fetch to my backend again. This time taking this Yelp primary key, and it hit the business detail endpoint. At which point it returned all the information. So whether or not this restaurant's in my backend, I can still get all the information from Yelp. These images came from Yelp. I threw them in a little Noku carousel. I also took the information I got from the Yelp and API and threw it into the Google API and got a map back. One thing it does when this component mounts is, again, it takes this primary key from Yelp and it searches my backend to see whether the restaurant's already in the backend. This restaurant's not. So of course it has no reviews, but had it been in my backend, it would have then searched for the reviews. And I did that rather than creating writing my own method in the restaurant model, iterating over all the restaurants, searching for, if any of them match this Yelp foreign key. I just used, directly used an SQL query in Active Records. It's a lot quicker. Just hit my database. So I wrote a I just hit SQL really quick. Um, so whether or not so let's add a review. Oh, we're not logged in, so we need to sign up or log in. So let's sign up. Username is going to be Avi Flatiron. Password. Going to misspell this here on purpose. Passwords don't match. That was just on the front end. But if the passwords do match, username has already been taken. So Avi Flatiron already exists in the back end. So that validation was done in the back end. So we're just going to log in as Avi. Now that Avi is logged in, many blessings to you. His token is now in local storage. His user ID is in the global state. His name is coming from state. We can search now. Let's search in the great state of New Jersey. Again, all this came from Yelp. We're going to go to Veggie Heaven, which is one of my favorite restaurants. So this restaurant already exists in my back end. It took the key from the URL, and then it did an SQL query and got all these reviews back. So now that Ari is logged in, he can add a review. He says, "Yummo, I love this food more than the Ruby language," because he really likes the food here. Okay, so since the user ID matches the user foreign key in the review, I render a delete button. So Ari can only delete his reviews. Also, let's say I go back, I go to Veggie Heaven again. Here's his review. It persisted in the back end. He can delete his review. So that was the delete fetch. One thing I really like. So if let's go to a restaurant we haven't reviewed yet. Let's go to Houston, Texas. Or Houston, Texas. So we'll go here. Now, this isn't in my back end, so I got all this from the Yelp business API. And of course, since it's not my back end, it's not going to have any reviews. So let's add a review. Now, the trick I did here was it checks to see whether there's a restaurant ID. If it doesn't, first it takes the Yelp primary key and does a post with that as an attribute to restaurants. Once it has a successful post to restaurants, it gets back a new restaurant object. That new restaurant object, I take its ID, and then with that ID and the user ID, I do a post to reviews. That review then comes back and is rendered to the page. Rendered. All right. And even though it was 2 posts, it was only 1 dispatch action with my action creator. If somebody just puts in some garbage, 404 page not found, and New York City, even if I've never, even if I've never been to this restaurant before, Spicy Moon East Village, this restaurant's not in my back end. I can still grab it. Go wherever. Let's go to Ladybird. Now I can post it in. Even though this restaurant isn't in my back end, the information will still go to the page, because when the component mounts, it does a fetch. So that's dynamic Rails routing. That when the component mounts, automatically fetches to the Yelp API if it's not in my back end. One thing I kind of like, a little Easter egg that I put in here is that This project, blesstaurant, finding vegan restaurants all over the world, was inspired by my good friend Ayana Anastasia Osborne, and her nickname is Ayo. So if you hold down the A key, the Y key, and the O key all at the same time, her lovely visage appears. So yeah, that's just a little Easter egg I threw in for fun. All right, so that's blesstaurant, and I hope you enjoyed my demonstration.